Hello and welcome to the NextPlay Spoilercast, a series where we talk about your favorite video games and films in full spoiler territory. Today, we are talking about the premiere episode of HBO's The Last of Us Season 2, titled Future Days. I'm your host, Brad, and joining me today is Jamie
Hello.
and Berto.
Hi.
How are we all?
Fantastic.
Excited to be here.
Yes, as always, we are all excited to be here. So, we're, as a group, pretty well educated in the Last of Us series. Jamie, I know The Last of Us is your favorite video game ever, I recall. The
It
Last of
is,
Us
yeah. Don't
Part
mind it.
The Last of Us Part 2 is in my top 3 games. And Berto, I know you didn't fully enjoy Part 2, but you are a big fan of Part 1.
Yeah, love part
Yep,
one. Probably in my top 15 of all time, I'd say.
pretty
Yeah.
decent. Yeah.
And I liked part two. I just have a lot of issues with it, but we can talk about
Mm,
it as we watch the episodes.
yeah. All right, so just a warning, obviously, if you didn't get it from the term spoiler cast, this episode will contain spoilers for episode 1 of The Last of Us Season 2, but will also contain spoilers for The Last of Us Part 2 video game, so consider yourself warned. So, boys, we will discuss where we think the season will go at the end of the show, but overall, how did you feel to the start of season 2, Jamie?
I really liked it, to be honest. I think for a debut episode of the new season, it has a lot of plates to spin, as you do with any returning season. I think it sets things in motion and lets people know what's going on a little bit better than what the game did, which we'll touch on. But I think it's really sort of interesting to see where it's going to go over the next few episodes. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a really solid, borderline good, maybe 7.5 episode.
Mm, I agree. Berto, what about you?
Yeah, definitely felt like the production values went up by a lot.
Mm,
You could definitely see just the way that it was shot and that it's going to be a very big, epic seasons. Um,
yeah,
I, I enjoyed I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good start. It's just going to build up to a lot, obviously. But I enjoyed it as a whole. It had a bit of everything, and I think that's a good thing as well. And yeah, it was good to be back and see everything.
yeah. I, yeah, probably enjoyed it as much as Jamie. I would say like 7.5. Like, it wasn't like a standout episode of like every episode we've seen so far, including season 1. But yeah, it was a good opener. I think the additional like scenes and dynamics that weren't in the game that they've added in this episode were brilliant, and we will touch on those as we go through the episode itself. All right, so let's dive straight into episode 1, Future Days. The first scene opens up where the first season ended, with Joel promising Ellie that everything he said about the Fireflies was true. Pretty standard, kind of expected this scene to start out the season. Um, yeah. So the first additional piece of scene or content that we see is a scene with Abby and her friends about
Mm.
3 days after the events that took place between Joel and the Fireflies at the end of season 1 in the hospital. Owen mentions a settlement in Seattle that they should go to, but Abby, who is still mourning the loss of her father, says they aren't going anywhere until they find Joel.
Mhm.
Eventually, Owen convinces Abby that they should join the Seattle settlement to get supplies and resources to hunt for Joel. And after moving over to her father's grave, Abby says that she wants Joel killed slowly which that was a very powerful scene. Like you, and like remember, we didn't really see her anger like so close to her father's death either in the game. This is like raw anger. She's still mourning. Like it's a fresh wound for her. And yeah, I actually like the casting for Abby. Like I think she's a good persona of Abby. We obviously haven't seen the full time jump Abby. We don't know if she's going to have muscles under that snow coat. I don't think
Yeah.
she will, but yeah, that is yet to be seen. What did you guys think of this scene, Jamie?
I think it does a good job of letting the viewers know what Abby and her friends are going after Joel for. Because in the game, we don't really know that initially. Like when Joel's getting, having his little fun, we do hear him going, "Oh, did I wrong you guys in the past? Like, is it something from obviously I've done because you perk up when you hear my name." But here we get
Mm,
an understanding exactly as a viewer. Oh, okay, well, obviously we know what they're after. So when you get that scene at the end of the show, you know shit's going down. And I also like the fact that they didn't reveal the entire thing to new viewers, whereas like we saw her go to the grave. We know she's emotionally raw at that point, and she's lost someone close, but we don't get that full reveal over what happened and who she's lost. So I think this is actually a really good way to establish that, let the viewer in, but not reveal all the cards at once.
mm.
I
Beto,
think
what
it
did you
lays.
think?
This is what the game should have done, in my opinion. I think it should
Yeah.
have laid the expectation immediately, because one of the biggest qualms that I had playing it, and a lot of the hatred for it, was the fact that they didn't know who this character was. And I think if it set it up to this point, it's like it sets it the expectation that this person is coming after this. It's coming. Abby's coming after Joel. Like,
Mm,
no, uh, no way to think any other way than what you're seeing. Like, this is it. This is what's happened. This is what I'm going to do. I want him to die slowly or kill him slowly, or whatever. 100%. I thought, wow, that we quickly got to Abby quite quickly. I was like,
yeah. Yeah.
where's the muscles? But then I was like, oh yeah, she hasn't got swole yet. So we'll see if she does get jacked up. But just that emotional, I guess, anger and hatred that you could see
Mm,
feels really good. And obviously, we'll talk about the end of the episode when you see them again. But I liked that skip. Yeah, I thought it set it up right. It goes, Joel, Ellie, Abby, then the story starts.
yeah. I think like in the game it like really hard launches Abby and her group. Like I feel like this is a soft launch. You don't really know her friends' names yet. Like we only know Owen's name because we've played the games. Um
Hmm.
did did they actually ever say Abby's name in that episode? I'm not sure. I can't recall whether one of the friends did or not.
I think one of the
No, I
friends
can't
did.
recall.
Mm,
Yeah, maybe. I honestly can't recall. I think because like I'm so attached and I know that that's Abby, so I probably
I could be
probably
wrong.
went straight over my head.
Hmm.
yeah, like they were only on screen for like 2 minutes, so who knows if Abby was the name was even mentioned. But yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, a great scene overall. I think this would have really like drawn non players of The Last of Us into it quite quickly. So after that scene, we have the 5 year time jump. We get our first scene of season 2. Ellie is practicing her combat skills with a new character. His name is Caleb. And shortly after, we are introduced to Jesse. Pretty like this is also a new scene. It wasn't in the game, obviously, but I think it's really it feels like it's there to show how tougher Ellie is now. like she's an adult now too. She's 19, so
Hmm.
she was what, 14 in the first season. So yeah, crazy that Bella Ramsey can play a 14-year-old and a 19-year-old within 2 years.
How old is she as an actress? Do you know?
I think she's early 20s. I'm pretty
Crazy, eh?
sure. Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a good introduction. Good introduction of Ellie and
mm,
just the whole town and everything. And the thing is, just
mm,
it's just setting him up, really. Just setting it up. Nothing. Didn't really think too deeply into it. I completely forgot that 5 years had elapsed. I don't know why,
mm,
but I did.
mm,
Um, it's there is a recurring theme you might hear from me is I forget a lot because I haven't played it
mm.
since launch. I've only played this game once.
True. Yeah, we've played it
So
recently, so
recently, yeah. So
Mhm.
that was 5 years ago. So there you go.
it's a long
So
time,
yeah,
isn't
it is a long time.
it? But yeah, we do have like a little landscaping pan of Jackson, which looks extremely faithful to the video game. You can see buildings that you can see in the video game too. So, and stunning cinematography there as well. In the next scene, we see Joel and Dina sharing a very rare interaction, teaching Dina how to repair a breaker. Dina eventually loses interest and asks Joel, "Why is she angry at you?" Joel, not revealing the real reason, just blames Ellie's age and that it's normal for someone going into adulthood. We also find out that Joel is seeing Jackson's therapist, Gail, who is played by Catherine O'Hara. What do we think about this scene between Joel and Dina? Because from my memory in the game, we didn't have any scenes with those two by themselves. Like, it's good to. I really enjoy their dynamic. We'll talk a bit more about their dynamic in the next scene. But how did you feel about this scene, Jamie?
I really like this. That's one thing with season one. Like the additional scenes they added that weren't in the game really did justice to the story. And I
Mm,
think adding this element, once again, it sort of encourages Dina to make that trip with Ellie, not just for Ellie's sake, but to the fact she also had her own relationship with Joel, which makes sense. Like they've been there for 5 years as a duo, so they would have formed other relationships with other characters. So I think this is a nice little. Even Joel mentions it during, I think, the psychiatrist scene where he's saying the only other person he really gets along with is Dina. Like Dina's a good girl and all this sort of stuff.
mm,
So I think it's a nice little touch because I think it does sort of help explain the lengths that Dina's also going as well because she's known him for 5 years. So I also think the casting of Dina was fantastic.
yeah.
Anytime she was on screen, I was engrossed by the character, probably even more so than I was in the game. And I like the character in the game. So I think they've done a fantastic casting choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Dina in the game was not forgettable, but just not very interesting. But like the character we see on in the show, I want to see like not where her journey goes because we kind of already knows that, but like I'm along the ride with her. So, Beto, what did you think of Dina overall?
Yeah. The casting's awesome. You're right. Every scene she's in is awesome. Um, I completely forgot where her journey goes. I was like, what does she get up to again? But then I'm like, no, that's right. This is The Last of
Mm,
Us Part 2.
yeah,
That's
yes,
right.
yeah.
Where everyone's journey comes. Anyway, I enjoyed the scene. I think it has a lot of. Um, this is the difference, obviously, between a video game writer and I guess, a television slash movie writer. It's a
Mm,
little bit different. I know Druckmann, I know he was part of the whole writing process, but having a TV show kind of it has you that extra little bit of liberty with expanding on the universe a little bit more and almost even correcting your wrongs a little bit, which is what I'm interested to see
Yeah.
what he does this time around.
In the next scene, we get the iconic sniper scene with Tommy and Ellie, which is a lot earlier on in terms of where that fell in the game. I feel like that was in like the second quarter or something as a flashback. I don't think it was at the start of the game.
No.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, because I think timeline wise, yeah, that's a flashback scene. It doesn't lead
Mm,
into that night in Jackson from memory, because that
yeah,
leads into her and Tommy talking, and then he's pushing her to go and speak to Joel, and I think that's before she's gone to the hospital as well. So there was already
yeah,
tensions, and I think she was, thinking of the lie. So it's interesting how
yeah.
they've done it. But yeah, I
Mm,
I did enjoy the scene.
mm. So in the scene, Tommy says he's taking Ellie off of patrols and onto gate watch because Joel is worried, which Ellie, of course, does not take well. Ellie eventually convinces Tommy to let her go on that afternoon's patrol. And obviously, she screamed into the void, I got bit, everybody. I'm immune, blah, 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 which I think was a really cool scene. But yeah, I know we saw Tommy in season one, but like I really love Tommy's casting as well. I think that's
Mm.
perfect. And him and Pedro like look like brothers too, so like it's believable. Any other discussion points on this sniper scene?
Not
No.
so much for me. I enjoyed it. I think it's interesting. It sort of gives a expectation that like they're going to sort of give liberties with some of the scenes and where the timeline falls, as Berto was saying, to sort of either correct mistakes or to put it in a way that makes more sense in terms of creating a cohesive narrative. So I think this was well done.
Mm,
I think cohesion's the strongest word there. I think,
yeah.
was I talking to you privately or maybe on the pod regarding my qualms with it, but how it was paced? And it felt quite, it like with this scene in it, it felt like it was again building. Everything felt like a
Mm,
building today, like
Mhm.
because
mm,
I watched it today. So everything was setting itself up for something else.
yeah. So back in Jackson, Tommy's wife, Maria, says that Joel and the building team need to build faster as the town is reaching capacity. Joel explains that they need to look after the current residents before letting new ones in. And then Tommy returns from hunting with Ellie just after this and gets asked by Joel if he was hunting alone, and Tommy says yes, hiding the fact that he was with Ellie. Do we have any thoughts why Tommy may have lied?
Who knows the relationship's broken down, right?
Yeah,
Mm.
everyone. I think Joel says in the next scene that everyone's noticing that Ellie is distant from him. So,
Mm.
I, yeah, like,
I think he did. Yeah, I think he didn't want Joel to know he'd been with Ellie because he knows Joel, and Joel would probably get pissed off that he was spending time with Ellie in general.
jealous. Yeah,
Um,
because Ellie
yeah,
doesn't want to spend time with him.
yeah. I do like the not so much tension, but you could tell there's sort of a very similar characters in Joel and Maria and how they butt heads a little bit, almost like
Yeah,
they're competing for Tommy's sort of affection and loyalty
mm,
themselves.
yeah,
And I do love some dry humor when they were like, "What do you want me to do? Just turn the dial up and we'll make it go faster in terms of the construction."
yeah,
So that
yeah.
that gave me a little laugh.
Next, we have another new scene with another new character. We see Joel attend a therapist appointment with where we officially meet Gail, the psychotherapist. Not psychologists, because they deal with pills.
Okay.
Gail Gail says it's her birthday and that it's her first birthday without her husband in 41 years. Joel says Gail's previous advice of backing off on Ellie has not really achieved anything, and that he thinks the whole town is noticing how distant Ellie is from him. He also says that Dina treats him like a human being, and treats him like he's her kid. So that, yeah, there seems to be more of like a father-daughter bond with Joel and Dina, which I'm happy for because obviously he's not really getting much of that with Ellie at the moment. Gail calls out Joel because she knows he's leaving something out of the picture in terms of how distant Ellie is, before revealing that Joel actually killed her husband, Eugene, and that Gail hates Joel's guts for it.
Mm.
Gail tries to get out the secret that Joel is hiding about him and Ellie, shedding a tear and saying that he saved her before walking out of the building. I loved this scene. Like, I wasn't expecting the whole "you killed my husband" thing, especially because we don't really know what Eugene is. Apparently, there was a Eugene named in like a collectible in part 2 or something.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So not
I
really.
believe
Mm,
the bunker where they go, when Ellie and Dina, they're making out in the weed den that they find. I believe that was Eugene's, which they do reference that he was a bit of a
ah,
stoner, and
okay.
yeah,
Yes, okay. That
yeah. So you
explains why
find his
Joel
pendant
gave
because he
her.
was a firefly as well. So you do find a pendant of his.
The fact you
Okay.
remember that, man.
It all makes sense.
It's all connected.
I think
I think you
we
go.
don't really know why this psychotherapist character was included in the show, but like it's really good to hear like what's going on in Joel's mind while all this is happening. Because again, we didn't really get that in the game either. Like, as much as we are now, at least. Better?
I was just going to say, I think it was there because it shows, I guess what they're trying to say, and I could be completely wrong, is that everyone has secrets and everyone hid secrets. And if you look at the episode, everyone lied at one point. Someone lied what they saw, another person lied who they were with, another person lied um, uh, about what they did in the past, the Joel. And
Mm.
the only person that really told the truth was the character about Eugene and, saying, I hate you for it. It's almost
Yeah.
like it's better to let things out before they fester. So, like, even the scene before, where were you out hunting with? Were you, or what were you
Mm.
doing? Were you alone? It's like, yeah, I was alone. Like, you didn't have to lie, but it seems like everyone wants to lie. So maybe it's
Yeah.
like showing you the grays or the things that are about to come. Like how much are you willing to hide things for the betterment of yourself? And it's actually better to be honest.
Yeah. Even Gail was like, I need to get this out and air it so I can actually start healing
Yeah,
from it. And I think she, as much as like she hates Joel, like she wants him, like he can't heal. She even said he's spent the last 5 sessions with her just groveling on about the same stuff each session.
yeah,
Like he can't heal because obviously he's hiding like why. I mean, that he killed probably the only vaccine to the cordyceps. So, like, yeah, I actually really enjoy Gale. It's going to be interesting to see what her arc is in the story because, like, if Joel dies in the next couple episodes, then, like, what is her purpose? Or, like, will there be flashbacks of other appointments with her and Joel? Who knows? Jamie, did you have any thoughts?
Yeah. Firstly, love the scene. This is probably my favorite scene of the show. Not only did Catherine O'Hara knock it out of the park,
Mm,
I like the subtleties in Pedro's acting with the little lip quiver. I
yeah.
looked over at my missus after the scene, and even she was getting emotional watching it. So I think in terms of that, they nailed it in terms of adding an additional cool scene that the show, the game never touched. I also think in terms of the character of Joel, it shows the length that he's willing to go to try and mend things with Ellie, because Joel from season one, he was closed off to absolutely everyone. Aside from Tess, he didn't talk to anybody.
Mm,
It took him a lot to open up to Ellie. And I think this sort of like gives you that willingness that he's like, I'm gonna go speak to someone, and sure, I'm not gonna unveil the whole thing to her, but the fact that he's even willing to try shows how much Ellie actually cares for him, because it's completely against what he was like at season one. So
mm,
I really found that interesting. And my theory, I think she says, I understand you had to kill Gale, but that doesn't mean that
yeah,
kill Eugene.
Eugene.
But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean I'm okay with it. So my
Mm,
guess is maybe we'll get a flashback at some point, and we'll see him either get bit, uh, or I saw one theory online going maybe he finds out because, like I said, the collectible showed that he was a Firefly. So maybe he had some sort of
true.
idea that it was Joel behind it, and maybe
Hmm.
Joel sort of tried to cover his tracks, make it look like he got bit, and then maybe he was a nefarious means to try and cover his tracks. That was a theory I've stolen from online, so that's not mine. But yeah, I definitely feel like he's either gotten bit, and that's what's caused it, and we'll probably get that scene at some
Y-
point.
I feel like now that that's out in like your, well, not your theory, that theory's out in the open. I think maybe the like standalone episode, similar to how was it episode 3 or 4 of season one.
Three, I want to say, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Um, I reckon that will be like a standalone like flashback episode, um, where we get, yeah, the whole story of Gail's past. Because, like, they wouldn't just introduce her and not really do anything with her, especially an actor with that, like, that legendary too. You wouldn't just get her on to, like, do nothing.
Hmm.
So, fast forward, Ellie and Dina go out on the Alpine patrol with a group and find a grocery store to search. The two go in alone through the roof, and Ellie takes down a clicker before falling through the floor onto the ground floor, separated from Dina. In a tense scene, Ellie has her first encounter with a stalker, an infected that is faster and much more intelligent than a clicker. She unfortunately gets a minor bite mark from the stalker, which she later tries to conceal by masking it as a cut. First of all, the makeup on the stalker, brilliant. Loved that. Very cool. We even got a close up of it. Actually, the clicker too, like that looked awesome. I was talking to you last night, Jamie. I don't know if I just have a bad memory or like we just didn't get too many close ups of clickers in season one. But the clicker we saw in this episode, well, the one that got sniped plus the one in the grocery store, they looked bloody phenomenal. Like they looked so freaking good.
Yeah, I think as Birdo said, I think you can tell the budget has definitely gone up. And I think one
Mm,
of the big criticisms that people had of season one was, aside from that one episode, didn't get a lot of clickers who were infected at all. So I
no.
feel like now, even with just this scene and a few of the ones spotting, and I don't know if anyone else has seen the trailer that they released for the next episode and the season to
Yeah,
come,
I
looks
haven't.
like we're going to get
a
infected
lot.
out of the wazoo. So I think they've heard
Good.
that criticism and they've invested in it. And for me personally, I've always found stalkers incredibly creepy. When I was doing my replay, like when you get into a building and they're there and they're doing the little peek around the corner, um, I think it was great to see it here. And yeah, I thought that whole scene was super intense. And I'll never get over how creepy it is. Like after she got bit at the end, and she like looks at the bite mark, and you see the cordyceps sort of like almost like a
Yeah,
tentacle outside of it. It's like, oh, this is unsettling. But yeah, I
it
really liked
is.
how they portrayed the stalker in this scene.
Yeah. Beto, what about you? Did you enjoy this scene? Probably, I would probably say the action scene of the episode.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite part of the episode,
Mm.
to be honest. Yeah, very faithful to the game. Like
Yeah,
set design, amazing. The lighting was amazing. Tension. Yeah, using the bottle, to distract. Like
yeah, yeah, that was a good.
100% video game. I was like, yeah, this is sweet as. They very faithful recreation. But again, she lies to everyone. She doesn't tell anyone she got bit. So there we go again. So the theme
Mm,
is to hide things from people.
mm,
You know.
yes. But yeah, back to the set design. It when Ellie was like in that bottom floor of the grocery store, like I
Yep.
was like, I swear I've like literally been in this
Yeah.
exact location. It
Yeah,
was so
I'm
well
pretty sure it was.
replicated.
very
Yeah.
faithful. Yeah.
Mm.
I think though, like in the game, there were like lots and lots of clickers in that building, not just one stalker, but like still fantastic all the same. So once back in Jackson, Ellie and Dina meet up with Jackson's council and report this new type of infected. Um, they they surprisingly actually do believe Ellie in the sighting. Um, I don't know how much to an extent they believe Ellie, but like after they leave, Maria's like, I don't believe Dina saw it, but I believe Ellie had a run in with it. So like, yeah, it was I guess a good scene to include because like, I don't think like stalkers they're introduced in the game, but like, I don't think it's really ever like shown like how far into the pandemic that it's actually introduced into the world. Like this being like the first sighting of a stalker in like with Jackson's residence means that um yeah, I don't know. Like it's weird that they don't know of that considering it's been like what 25 years since uh the pandemic started. So like it's weird that they don't know stalkers exist until now. Does anyone have anything to say about the council scene?
I thought it was an interesting addition. It's nice to
Mm,
see how Jackson actually works a little bit because we don't get a lot there in the game at all.
no.
You know, you go through the main street, you get told that you're going out for patrol, and then you get that night at Jackson and a few cutscenes. So even again with the trailer hinting towards a lot of stuff happening at Jackson, it's cool to see the inner workings of how this massive establishment somehow runs. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, it's really interesting. Like uh, have the stalkers just somehow avoided human contact this entire time because they have that potentially
It's
intelligence?
possible, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that they were discussing it like really in the games, it's just like, oh, that's a clicker, that's a bloater, and they just sort of move on. It's just another enemy. Whereas here they're
Yeah.
like referencing, going, how do we deal with this? And sort
Mm.
of like asking the question why and how they're going to actually move forward. So once again, like, as Berto was saying, it's an interesting addition that I think just fleshes out the world a little bit more.
Yeah.
They're just setting it up at the end of the day.
Mhm.
A few
Mm.
scenes before saying, they're at capacity or they don't know what to do. Now there's like this new thing, that has intelligence. So obviously, it's just setting it up for a little bit more time in this place for something to happen, and obviously, we're going to see what happens. But again,
Mm.
it goes back to hiding. Yeah, I saw this, but you didn't really see it. Hiding the bite. Like you have you have this normal centered story with the characters, and then you have this thing that's about to happen, but you don't know what it is just yet.
So hours before Jackson's New Year's Eve party, Joel visits Ellie in her room in an extremely awkward encounter. I felt so freaking bad for Joel in this scene. Like, he was like, it just felt so awkward. Like, it's kind of like how, like, you're at a friend's house and, like, your friend starts arguing with their parents and you're just sitting there, like, oh, what do I do? That's how it felt. um, Yeah, like obviously Ellie was just like really just shutting the whole conversation down. One word answers, not really giving Joel eye contact at all. Um, it literally pains me to watch it because, like, yes, Joel is a bad guy, and Ellie has every right to be upset about what Joel did, but it still hurts me to watch.
Yeah.
I still like Joel, even though I know he's not a good person overall. Jamie, was this as awkward for you as it was for me?
Oh, super awkward. Just to sort of touch on what you said. I know we've discussed it on the podcast before. If you haven't listened to that, where we've spoken about who's a good person, who's the villain, who's the hero. I think almost everyone in this world has probably done something horrible at this point.
Mm,
So it's the extent that they've gone to, I guess. Well, when you did try to figure out who's good, who's bad, who's what I mean. Like, even though she's being completely standoffish, he sees the guitar just sitting there collecting dust, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go fix the guitar for you," because he doesn't know what else to do. He's a dad that
yeah.
has a teenager that's against him, and he's like, "Oh, I'll try and show." I don't know how to voice um, following the scene of her finding out what happened in the season one. He doesn't know how to discuss it or even approach it with her in a way to sort of smooth that out. So he's like, "Oh, I'll fix the guitar. That'll fix it. We'll do that." And it's just like it's awkward. It's that sort of just sad that he's trying everything he can, but he can't
He,
find the words because he thinks he did the right thing in the end. Like
he,
I think he's adamant on that.
he's so desperate to get Ellie's affection back that, like, he's
Mhm.
just trying everything now.
Yeah, yeah. So awkward scene, but it does a good job to sort of show how different it was from season one, and that rift between them. So yeah, sort of a little heartbreaking in the end, which we'll touch on a little bit in the following scene. But yeah,
Yeah. All right, so we are now at the New Year's Eve party where the residents of Jackson are all having a good time. They're all letting their hair down. The kids are outside throwing snowballs at each other. Love that. Um, Ellie and Dina begin dancing together and share a kiss before being called a slur by Seth. Joel intervenes and pushes the guy to the ground and asks Ellie if she's okay. Ellie responding by saying, "What is wrong with you? And I don't need your fucking help."
Mm.
Also broke my heart, that scene. Like, and then, yeah, Joel after that was just like, right. And then, like, just had the most saddest look on his face ever. What did you guys think of this scene?
It reminded me of that meme of like that little kid. That I'll have to send it to you guys. This is a little kid meme where he's like, "You're not my mom," like get away from me. Like I don't need your
yeah,
help. I just think the scene itself was awesome. It's almost felt very much shot for shot from the game.
And I'm
yeah,
pretty sure it's word for word as well.
yeah, almost
Okay,
identical visually
yeah,
as well.
I think it was perfect in the game and it was perfect here. Again, it just shows the distance that they have, and eventually we'll find out. So
Yeah, it's like if your child got called a slur in front of you, like, you
mm.
wouldn't just stand there, though, would you?
No, but that's the problem. He thinks it's his child, right?
Yeah, that's fair, but yeah, I don't know.
Like
That
if the concept was that he needs to heal from the very first, from the beginning, not from this experience that he's done now. So like, he craves the daughter father relationship because he never had it, right?
yeah, because he replaced his daughter with Ellie.
And that's the thing. You can't replace what you need to heal. You need to heal.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. So like, obviously, I think she's growing into who she will become, and I think there's obviously going to be a lot of teething issues. And from memory with the game, she finds out, doesn't she, what happened? But that becomes like you don't learn that in the game until nearly the end as a
She, yeah, it's in a flashback.
flashback. Yeah,
Um,
that's right.
well after Joel dies. I think it's like halfway through the game.
Mm.
But yeah, um, So yeah, she does know that now, like in the show. We
In
just
the
don't
show.
know
Yeah,
we just don't
correct.
know she knows.
Yeah, okay.
Jamie, this scene, how did you feel?
As Birdo brought up, I loved how they portrayed it. Like it's almost shot for shot, exactly how that cutscene plays out. I think from memory, that may have been one of the first scenes we ever saw from The Last of Us Part Two when they revealed it. I think it was like at an E3
It
or something. We
was.
saw that cutscene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so once they did that, like behind
Yep.
camera shot behind Ellie and the lights and everything, I was like, this is so
iconic.
faithful. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was like, I was that Leonardo DiCaprio meme where I was just like clicking at TV, letting the missus know that this is exactly from the games. Um, I think I mentioned to you just before the pod. I thought it was just funny. I saw a side by side of like in the games, Joel just sort of shoves Seth. But here, he's twice as angry because he likes Dina and he likes Ellie. And he just absolutely balls Seth to the floor. And I just
Yeats.
thought that was hilarious. Yeah,
Seth got
he almost
yeeted.
pushed him through the wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, the afterwards, like once again, the subtleties of I've seen mixed opinions on Pedro Pascal lately because he's everywhere and it's like oversaturated. But he's a phenomenal actor, to be honest. The little facial features in reaction to him realizing that Ellie still hates him,
Mm,
and the fact that it's now being aired in front of the entire town, and you could
yeah.
see when it clicks, and he's like, "Oh, everyone's seeing this," and
Mm.
almost in like humiliation of not only the fact that Ellie's still against him, but the whole town's seen it. That still he just sort of bows his head and like just heads for the door. Um, this broke my heart. Like you talk about the other scene, this absolutely like
Yeah.
again when I looked at the missus, she was like welling in tears because she's like again, he's a bad guy, but we spent the whole first season with it. We played through the games. I still like Joel as a person because like it's hard to not say you wouldn't potentially do the same thing he did.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
big discussion there. So yeah, this was a great scene. As I said, this is from the games. I really enjoyed seeing it in live action, and yeah, heart broke at the end.
Yeah. I was actually looking like at Dina as it kept panning to Ellie when she was telling Joel off. And like Dina was like, "Oh my god, what's happening?" Like you could see like the discomfort on her face too. Like it was very subtle because like she was blurred out a few times in the background, but like you could see how that was affecting her as well. Obviously not as much as Joel, but like because like Dina like clearly like loves Joel too. All right, so after the New Year's Eve party, Ellie walks past Joel on his porch on her way home without saying a word. Um, yeah, pretty cold.
Mm.
While he's
uh,
fixing the guitar too, I believe he's got the
oh
guitar on the
yeah,
board.
yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
so like
I didn't even
even though
put that together.
he just got told he got humiliated in front of everyone and got told to stay out of my effing life, and he's still gone back home and he's like, "I'll fix the guitar. This will fix it." Oh, it's hard to watch.
It is. God.
Did you guys cry? Just quickly, did you guys cry at all in this episode?
No.
I didn't, but like I said, I saw my partner. She welled up a few times with it.
I want to
Like
keep
it,
count of how many you two cry because you two cry a lot when it comes to like emotional things. I don't cry at
well,
all.
We
So
need a
well,
counter.
yeah.
yeah, you do.
when when it comes to golfing, I'm definitely gonna cry, especially if Bella Ramsey acts that very well. Like, I will definitely cry.
I hope she goes feral on it, but
So
we'll
do
see.
I. She
She
like
will.
she. I think she will. Like for
Hmm.
sure. Uh, and then we pan out to the celebrations in Jackson beginning to wind down, and we see some cordyceps growing through a broken pipeline in the middle of Jackson. Not sure what that's going to do, but does anyone have any theories on that?
Oh,
I think
it's
the
part of what
seeds.
I said. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's all going into something. Something big's gonna happen.
Mm,
It's gonna be a bad day for Jackson. I think coming very soon.
They're
yeah,
making that into a character of its own. So
yeah. And to close off the episode, we see Abby and her group closing in on Jackson, which is a lot sooner than I personally thought we'd see that. But what about you guys? Were you surprised to see Abby just a few kilometers away from Jackson?
Oh, it makes sense. Like I said,
Mm,
replaying it over the holidays, in my head I thought Joel, you know, had his untimely demise a little bit later on. But yeah, it's very much
it
within the first
is.
like 90 minutes, 2 hours. So
Yeah.
it makes sense that she's there. And I know you've got a question here lined up where we'll discuss that a little bit further. But yeah, it lets you know shit's happening from all ends. So as Birdo said a few times, it's putting the pieces in play. It's putting the chess pieces on the board, letting you know where everything's at, who's got alignments and everything, and we know where shit is going down soon.
Mm, yeah.
Mm.
Better.
Yeah, I got the same. One recurring thing I had when I played The Last of Us Part 2 is I had a lot of anxiety playing the game. Not personal anxieties, just like this anxious feeling of, great, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next, right? And every time it surprised me. But this one, as soon as it happened, I was like, hell yeah. Like, this is
Mm.
exactly how I remembered feeling. That feeling of nervousness, almost like, oh, here we go. The
The
game's about to start.
that office meme where Steve Carell is like, "Oh my god, it's happening."
Yeah,
That's what I was like in my head.
pretty much. I do remember it being pretty early on, so it feels
Yeah.
like right on par. It
Like
either
I
would have
knew
happened to this one or the start of the next one. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Right.
Like I knew it was gonna happen. Like I knew it was early on in the game. I just didn't know they would do it. Well, we don't know, but I didn't think they were gonna like go straight into it type of thing. I don't know. Well, yeah, so that was the first episode. Um,
Mm.
I guess the first big question I will ask you guys is, will Joel die in the next two episodes? Do we think?
Within the next two, yeah, I would say so. I think I'm going to put it out there that my theory is the next episode we will get one of the flashbacks, maybe the one at the hospital, or something
Yeah.
along those lines. I think that would be a powerful way to open the next episode, to be honest, establish exactly why there's this massive rift now that you've sort of made people
Mm,
question, like, why are they like that?
mm,
Leading into, this all makes sense, you know what I mean? And it could either end with, depending on how they take it, because in the games, Joel and Tommy save Abby. And
yeah.
Mm.
again, in the trailer, it looks like Tommy's busy. He's off in Jackson. So whilst they've also shown in previous footage Abby in the fence when the fence is getting pushed down and there's all the infected,
Yeah.
so it looks like they're going to be having some similar scenes. Is it potentially that Joel will be the one who saves her, and maybe Tommy's not there when it all goes down? And maybe that might even encourage Tommy even more so that he wasn't there to actually stop it from happening because he was
Mm.
busy with Jackson. So um, I think it might even happen at the end of the next episode. Who knows, to be
Oh,
honest.
I hope not. I'm not ready for that.
It's going to be so vicious because it is uncomfortable in the games. Say what you will about everything he did, it is a very uncomfortable watch. So
Yeah,
seeing that in live action is going to be very traumatizing.
let alone Pedro. Like
Mm.
everyone loves Pedro. It's,
Yeah,
oh, I don't want to
Not
see
Abby.
it.
just go watch the Fantastic Four and you see him again. It'll be
I
fine.
will. I will. Don't you worry.
He'll
Um,
still be in the show for so many episodes, anyways. There's so many
yeah,
cool flashbacks they can do, and we know a lot of them are happening. So he'll still be popping by. We just know where it's all going to go.
yeah. What about
So,
you, Berto? Do you think he's gonna
so
die soon?
yeah, definitely, 100%. I reckon, three or four episodes, three or four, because it's 7 episodes, right?
Yeah.
Um, at the end of the episode, there was like a little making of and a trailer for
Mm.
what the
Yeah, I
season
watched both of
has
those.
to be, and just looking at that, I know a couple of days ago when we recorded the podcast, you asked me it's going to be season 4. There will be. It's too much content.
Mm, yeah.
They're going to stretch this game out. In saying that, I think episode 3 or 4, and then to soften that, they'll probably do this big whatever is happening, the invasion of all these things, kind of like to distract us, to bring us back to Earth, and then the journey begins again with Ellie in the city from memory,
Mm,
right?
mm,
So it's either going to happen next episode at the end or midway through third episode. I'd say probably
yeah.
3 seems about more right. 3 or 4.
Mm. Plot twist: Joel doesn't die at all in the TV show.
They're all friends at the end. They just sort of hang
Yeah,
at
yeah.
Jackson for the whole thing.
Can you
Kumbayas
imagine?
everywhere.
Mm.
I'm just going to make a prediction for next episode. Just going off of what Birdo said, I feel like this next episode is going to focus on Jackson almost the entirety,
Mm,
and then once you've had this distraction and you're like, oh, everything's calmed down, they lull you into a false sense of security, and then it will be, oh, Joel and Abby maybe meet up, and I think it will probably happen in episode 3, maybe midway through. That's my guess. And then you're sort of left with that reason to come back of go, oh shit, Abby's looking for Joel, and Joel's just bloody saved her, but they don't know who each other is yet. So I think that's a nice way to bring people in for episode 3. He will probably meet the golf club at some point during that, and then by episode 4, Ellie and everyone's off on their journey.
I feel sick just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's going to
All right,
suck.
yeah. So we kind of covered it in like our episode walkthrough, but was there any like additional scenes or like pockets of lore that was added into this episode that wasn't in the games that was like a highlight for you, Jamie?
Again, I think most of the additional scenes they add, like, they don't feel like filler or anything. Like,
Mm,
oh, we're trying to do this, but we're just trying to add something so we can stretch out the episode. I feel like all of it is grounded in building the world out, and
yeah.
giving you a little bit more of a reason to care for these characters. Like I said, I like Dina in the game, but I love Dina in the show already. And that's
Mm,
one episode. And that's due to just the additional little scenes, even before they take out the clicker and they're just being idiots because they know they can
yeah.
handle it without any issues. And they're like faking that they're going to stab themselves and all this sort of stuff. Um, I have no qualms with any additional scenes that they added. They're all interesting. They fleshed out characters and they built out the world.
Yeah. Fair. What about you, Berto?
Yeah, I mentioned it at the beginning. Just the setting the expectation part is
Yeah.
much needed. Again, probably to stamp out any confusion of what you're about to experience, because that is ultimately why a lot of people were also upset. Um, because you don't see that other character that much.
Mm.
Yeah, it's fine. It was a good episode. Like, I think, what do you guys rate it? 7.5? Yeah, that seems about fair.
Yeah.
Like, not bad at all. Not great. Good to
Like I
see them back.
wasn't I
Good.
wasn't even like I wasn't bored at any point.
No, not at all.
No.
But yeah, I like really did love the therapist scene with
Yeah.
Gail and Joel. That was probably my favorite. But then like you can't really knock back the extra scene with Dina and Joel. And even that scene at the start with Abby and her friends. Like, yeah, you're right. It doesn't feel like filler. Like this is what the TV format of The Last of Us needs to have,
Mm.
Mhm.
to make it kind of feel like it's its own thing too. Like, because like we've played the games, like, and like not everything is scene for scene, but like you kind of like you can watch a scene and be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what's gonna happen. So when these new scenes pop up, it just really is like, I don't know, it gives you like extra feelings into the world and the characters that are on screen. It's just, yeah, really, well done. Next, we're going to talk about the casting overall. How are there any casting choices you don't like, or any casting choices you love, or any performances you wanted to highlight? Berto?
Although we haven't seen much of Abby, I don't see the muscles, and I know for me personally that was, I wouldn't say a contentious issue, but for many people it was, and I think it needs to be added into the character because that's what she was aiming to be. She was a machine,
But
and I
do
think
you,
the
do you know what's funny? The people that whinged about Abby having muscles in the game are probably the same people whinging saying she doesn't have muscles in the
she doesn't have
TV
it.
show.
Probably,
Like, it's
probably.
literally hilarious. Like, yeah.
I just think it would be a little bit more fiercer, I suppose. And it also makes, like, I know we won't get too spoilery, but at the very end, it makes that more shocking, in my opinion. Um,
Mm.
Apart from that, everyone seems pretty sweet. She seems Abby, like, yeah, I know I'm fixated on Abby a little bit because I think she's the most interesting character out of all of them for me. I think she seems angry, which is great. She seems to
Yeah.
portray anger,
You can
which is
see the
awesome.
rage in her face. Like, for such a, like, I don't, is it Caitlin Denver or something? Something like that. That's her real name. You see it, like, photos of her like outside of this show, and like she looks like the sweetest person, but you can just genuinely tell Abby is full of rage, like ever
Mm.
since we've seen her on the screen. So like that's
But
really great acting there.
but everyone looks good. Everyone, yeah, it just
Mm,
feels comfortable, familiar. Everyone seems to be acting extremely well. Yeah, it's all good.
mm. Jamie, what about you?
I thought all the additional characters, like as I said, Gail was a great addition, great performance. Dina, I think any scene she was in, I was really interested in the character. Jesse, I need to see more of. He definitely seems the part so far, but I just need to. I know he's
Mm,
going to be bigger in the upcoming episodes, so I'll hold off before I give my opinion on him. Abby, from what I've seen, obviously that we just got that one scene, played emotional, raw anger very well, and we're going to potentially, well, we will see her completely get the emotion out, and it's just going to be rage. And I'm very interested in just how that scene plays out in general to see the performances from Pedro, Bella, and would you say Caitlin
Caitlin
Denver, was it?
Diva,
Diva, yeah.
Dever. Yeah,
So it'd be very interesting to just see the performances during that scene because that might win some awards for people, I think. But yeah, the cast so far looks great. Very interested to see how they go throughout the entire season.
yeah, I agree. Like, I love the casting. I know people still have issues with Bella Ramsey. Not her
Mm.
performance. Like, her performance is always great. I like, she really embodies Ellie very well. I think some people just have like the appearance, like, but like you can't even like compare like a video, literally a video game character, with an actual human being. Like I know Laura Bailey, like, fine, but like she's way too old now. She wouldn't have been able to play the role at all, especially in season one. So, yeah, very happy with the cast. That is all the questions I have for you guys. Did anyone have any other topics they wanted to touch on?
Not
No,
really.
nothing. Yeah, nothing really. Like I said, really solid opening, and hopefully it just is steering the season into a really good, hopefully unmissable season of television.
Yeah,
I just want to see people's reactions. That's all I really want. I want to
same.
see it.
I'm, yeah, it, yeah, it's gonna
Oh,
be huge.
one thing, the addition, Tommy having a kid. That was a thing we didn't actually touch on, which I
True.
was not in the
Yeah.
game,
No. Yeah.
which with the trajectory of the character, is going to make that so much rougher. I've said it before. I think one of the people that loses so much by the end of everything in part 2 is Tommy. So
What does he lose
Yeah.
again in the game?
well, it's a spoiler cast, so he
Yeah.
gets shot in
Just
the
say.
eye, can barely see. He's not able to walk properly. He becomes obsessed with revenge to the point where Maria wants nothing to do with him. But he's in no physical
Oh,
state to
really?
ever go after it. What do you mean?
Ah, completely forgot.
Yeah, so Maria's like, you're obsessed with this. So I basically just cuts him off. So I think in the end, he's just going to end up becoming obsessed. Can't actually ever get physical revenge on Abby because he just is not in the capacity to be able to do it. And he's probably going to end up losing the ability to see his kid as well. So I thought that was a cool addition. That was one of the other notes that I left that I forgot to talk about. But yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Just to backpedal a bit, when I was talking about Bella Ramsey, I actually like her as Ellie, and I think like all the shitheads online need to stop bullying her because of how they look. So yeah, that's all I'll finish up on with that. And that marks the end of our The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 1, Future Days Spoilercast. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube and leave a 5-star review on the audio streaming service of your choice so you can get the latest content sent straight to your feed. I've been your host, Brad, and you can find me at Brad_EXP on most socials and Brad Goodwin on Blue Sky. And joining me today has been Jamie.
You can follow me at JamieX66 on most of all the socials.
And Berto.
You can follow me on Instagram as pause_gamer.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week when we discuss episode 2. Bye.
See ya.